The House of Representatives passed a bill that would force the sale of TikTok, which could lead to an eventual ban in the United States. Is it going to get through the Senate and get signed by the president to become law? We got to see, right? And then also Kanye goes #1 as an independent artist, #1 record in the whole world. What does that mean for the music industry? We're going to talk about that and more on this episode. Hang tight.
Arkatech Beatz.
What's up, everybody? It's Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast. We are your hosts, platinum producers. Arkatech Beatz. I am Juggernaut.
I am Mike Trauma D.
And together we make this super duper group, Arkatech Beatz, man. We're platinum producers. We've been in this game for 20 years. And every week we get together to talk about different things in the music industry to kind of help you navigate this crazy game in the music business, right? So this week, we want to jump right into this. This week, we didn't think it was going to happen, right? First, Congress went to committee with the bill. 50-0, unanimous passed through that chamber. Then it went to the House, and it got overwhelming support to ban, or not necessarily to ban, but to force a sale to a American company. And if that sale doesn't happen within 6 months of the bill being signed into law, then basically it will be banned to 170 million users in the United States. What does that mean for us in terms of the music business, in terms of just regular business owners? So I wanted to talk about that and really give people some insight on what's going on and what we think is the main catalyst behind it.
So we were talking behind the scenes, and there's something that you mentioned that was key. You said China, they're not going to sell their company to America.
So there is some talk. I haven't gotten any concrete evidence of it. So I want to say basically this is just some things that I'm seeing on the internet. They're saying basically when it comes to Chinese law and the sale of a company to a foreign entity, that it doesn't work the way that they think it's going to work. That it may not even be allowed in some cases. That they can sell a Chinese company to a foreign adversary or anything like that. So what people are saying online and what I'm seeing online is that they're saying that basically they put the language to force a sale because they know it would be impossible to do so due to Chinese law. So it would lead to an eventual ban. And basically what they were saying is that the lawmakers may have misrepresented the bill to the people who voted on it, because they may not necessarily know that the Chinese government wouldn't allow them to sell ByteDance to a foreign interest. Period. So they just probably put that into the bill. Like, honestly, if you think about it, they could have done so many things to prevent the data transfer. If that's what you're concerned about, you could have done that. You could have said, hey, let's ban certain data transfer. Let's ban certain things in the apps that collect data, so forth and so on. You could have did all of those things versus talking about you're going to force a company to sell to your competitor and all that type of stuff. That doesn't make sense.
Maybe it does.
Well, it makes sense if you're going to ban it. That's the key was to ban it. And because look, like I'd have to cut you, but look, let's be honest. Let's not act like this is not a control of information situation. This is what this is. Yeah, it's an election year. So you know what that is. They lost Twitter. If you go way back to when Twitter was first sold, Elon dropped all of the files about it being an arm for the Department of Justice. And they were picking people and they were censoring people. Boom, 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 boom. Like, if you can go, it's public knowledge. Everybody knows that. So I'm not making any of this stuff up. So now that they lost that part of the political online arm to censorship, it's like, okay, We can't have another one like TikTok running them up. Not in an election year. So, but I think it's going to backfire because if the app does get banned, that's 170 million users, and it's mostly young users. So, if you're going to ban it, say again,
what happens? If they ban TikTok, what's going to happen? Is there another social media that's going to jump into the pan? Or is everybody going to run around and get a bunch of different ways of getting access to TikTok? What's because TikTok won't disappear, it just won't be available.
And they said they'll make it a felony if you try to log on to a
VPN.
Yeah. That's basically some communist party type stuff, like Chinese, like they blocking websites, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. That's never happened in the United States. But look at this situation like this. They think that if they ban this app, everybody's going to gravitate to, Meta, Instagram, Facebook. That's not what's going to happen. It's going to cause a vacuum. That if people find out that Meta and those guys lobbied for it or helped to pay for the research or anything behind it to help to get the app banned, it's going to cause a backlash where people are going to basically, if you ban TikTok, they're going to delete those 2 other apps and you're going to send them over to Elon. That's what you're going to do. You're going to send it over to Twitter. Yeah, but it's not going to take much for it to turn into a video scrolling app. It's not going to take much. I'm telling you.
Until Elon implements video scrolling and the same features that TikTok has, I think the general public and the general people are just going to turn a blind eye and just go along with what they normally do when these situations happen. They just go along. If you're a business and you need to get your product out there, you're going to go with whatever service is available that can, support you. And, I feel that, they're not going to care. They're not going to care. The general public is not going to care. They just, I got stuff to do. I need to sell my product. I don't care if there's there's some sort of behind the scenes agenda to remove. They're going to look at it as they just removed the competition. It's business. What do you tell a business that relies on social media, to thrive? And if Elon's Twitter is not capable of handling it, they're gonna go to IG. Because IG is already set up like that to handle business. It's not.
So is YouTube.
Yeah, IG and YouTube. It'll split between the 2.
That's what they hope, because that's where most of, from what we understand, that's where most of Congress portfolios lie. They say it lies in Meta, Alphabet, like that's where it lies. So that's the reason why. So now Twitter is, since it's privately held now, that's not a publicly traded company anymore. So
it'll be cool if some some other platform jumps in the pan, like as Isaac Hayes' platform.
Oh, the fan base.
That'll be that. It could fill that void if he's able to really do his rounds and get people really on board. Plus, that platform allows you to monetize as well, and it has a whole lot of great features. So, it might be a good look over there as well. And it doesn't seem like that platform has the outside influence affecting it. So, I guess we'll see. We'll see who steps up.
It's going to be interesting. It's just kind of it's something that I've just been looking at, and I've been asking myself, like, okay, like if if you have a constituency that's half of the size of America, right? 170 million users in the United States. That's half of the country. Uses this application. Overwhelmingly, they say they want this application, and the Congress ignores that. Weird. You don't find that to be strange?
I also think that there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that the general public is not aware of. Just to play devil's advocate, the general public wants a lot of things. And it doesn't mean, just because a lot of people want things, it doesn't necessarily mean it's appropriate, correct, it works, this and that. Sometimes, the general public wants things that is harmful to its own self. So we don't got all the information, and all the information that we're getting is coming from, whether the government, media, so there's so many things that's going on behind the scenes that the general public is not privy to every single thing. So we really don't know, we're just taking pieces here, trying to use common sense, get this information, get that information, look at the playing field, and make an educated assessment of what's happening.
So what I would challenge you on that is this: the general public doesn't know. Say the general public doesn't know. Why doesn't the general public know?
Well, the general public doesn't know. Number one, there could be things that are just considered classified, and that information is just not available to the public. Just like in any business, there are just certain things that are not available to the masses for a slew of reasons.
So in this particular situation, like how you talk about it like that.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what you have now is, we don't have a democracy then. So what we have is an elite ruling class that makes all the decisions for everybody. That's what you're saying.
That's how it's always been. So
basically you're telling Americans are too dumb to take this information. They don't know what's good for them. We have to make the decision because you don't know what's good for you. Right? So
that is how they feel. That's number one. That's how they feel. That is how upper government feels about the general public. That's number one. Number two, the average everyday person is so distracted by what's going on in their life. There's a lot of things going on. Me and you talk all the time. There's so much that things that go on the day to day that you don't get to hone in on the bigger picture, or you don't get to hone in on all those other things. Or on top of that, maybe some of those things don't affect each and every individual directly.
That's real.
You and I know if something doesn't affect you directly, you're not going to pay attention to it. You're going to keep it pushing. You're going to work with and reason with and make changes or make any type of sacrifices and decisions based on what directly affects you. If it doesn't directly affect you, that is why there's so many people that you would think who are not Trump supporters are Trump supporters, because they feel that, when Trump was in office, I got this directly. I got this. I made this bread. I did this. You know what I'm saying? Then you got some people who was like, nah, I'm rocking with Biden because, student loans. He took that away. Blah, blah, blah. When things affect you directly, that's when you got their attention. If it don't affect you directly, people are just, and not to get too far off the subject and go too far into the political world, but that's just how it is. If it doesn't affect you, people don't care.
It's a real sad state of affairs, and I think what happens is that if you look at our community, especially our community that's always impacted by damn near everything, like not enough of us care. Like that's the shit. That's really what the problem is. Like not enough of us care, because let's take an example like that TikTok ban. The TikTok ban has millions of users. It's not just an app that people are entertaining themselves on. People are doing content creation. People are doing business. People are making livings from this thing, right? So now the question happens like, okay, you ban this app. What happens to all of that commerce? Does it just go away? And then where does the money come from to help those people make ends meet? So it's like now it's just another tool that's going to increase inflation because more people can't afford things. Like that's like is it really being thought through 100% to say, okay, we want to force the sale?
They want people back to work too.
That's what other thing I was going to go into. I heard that a lot of it is because they don't want this ecosystem because they want people to go back to the office. And this is a very 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 strange dynamic when we talk about this band. Like this band is bigger than like we talk about it being a music situation, and like just look at the timing of it. Like these guys at Universal, they pulled their music like they knew this band was coming. Like they knew that this app is gone. Like why would you pull all your music, you pull all your songwriters? Like who told them that it was going to get banned? How did they know that they can make that play and that the app wouldn't be here in 6 months' time?
But Jug, this happens every day. Like this isn't new. This is insider information. When you're connected, you know what's coming down the tube so that you can make the adjustments you need to make. This happens on Wall Street. This happens all the time. This is not.
I'm not saying that. I know that it is, but you know, we're just trying to illustrate the folks that this is happening.
This happens, and this happens more frequent than not. You know, it's like one of the homies tells you, "Oh, this is about to happen," and gives you the heads up, and you just got to make a play based on that. That's all it is. But on a corporate government, level, the pandemic made a lot of people entrepreneurs.
For real, it had no choice.
It turned the economy on its back, and a lot of people who were sick and tired of the 9 to 5 and being treated a certain way started to see another way. People were dying left and right when they were not able to handle the whole medication and trying to figure this thing out, the COVID, trying to figure it out. People were dying left and right. And people turned into realists. They looked around and said, yo, so-and-so died. So-and-so died. Life is too short. I'm not going to be up here slaving and freaking die. I'm going to get out here and do something. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to follow my dreams now. I'm doing whatever it takes. People were quitting their jobs left and right. And that on top of that, the government was rewarding them initially. Like, yo, here, hold this. Hold that while you out. TikTok, people started taking advantage of TikTok and social media, creating their businesses, becoming entrepreneurs. The motherfuckers was not going back to work. When they started seeing that the revenue they were getting, that income that was coming in, it was like working from home, doing all of this and that. It was not going back to work. These companies, these major companies, didn't like that. They don't like that. They couldn't get people in the office anymore. People were losing left and right.
Yeah, that's just a wrap.
So removing TikTok, guarantee that is another aspect of it. That is another component. Removing TikTok, a lot of these companies and corporations feel that, okay, it'll bring some of these people back to work.
This episode of the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast is brought to you by our own ebooks, The Songwriter's Guide to Song Registration, The Musician's Guide to Music Copyrights, The Musician's Guide to Music Publishing, and The Ultimate Guide to Forming Your Own Music LLC. All of these books are really essential for artists, producers, musicians to really learn how to navigate the music industry and how to really make a living off of your art. So just make sure you go pick those up. Those are available at arkatechbeats.com. We're going to put a link in the description, and thank you guys for supporting.
So this whole band has just so many layers on it. And like we always said, if you weren't prepared, if you didn't have your own situation set up, when this thing happens and you're not set up properly, whether it's other platforms, your own website, you don't have a relationship with the consumers directly, you don't got some phone numbers and emails, or if you don't got any of those things and you're a thriving business on TikTok, once that platform is removed, your business is going to get hurt pretty bad. So I'd really hope that these entrepreneurs, these business owners, have some sort of plan B or some sort of mechanism in place for when this thing goes down.
I've always heard and I've always seen different things in terms of telling people to say you're building your platform on TikTok, that you need to build it across platforms simultaneously. It's like you're not going to be able to just say, hey, I'm just on TikTok, or I'm just on Twitter, or I'm just on Instagram, or YouTube. Like you have to.
You got to do all of them.
You got to do all of them, and you have to cross pollinate. And you have to find out what works on each platform to really protect yourself from the things that happen. Like look at the Twitter sale, or look at the these things happen. Reels go from paying bonuses to not paying any bonuses at all. Like you have to be in a situation where you can pivot and kind of get an understanding of how you're going to be able to survive when the rules change, because the rules change and it can change quick.
Just it's funny when there's an outage. when there's a Facebook Meta outage, and it's funny to see the influx of people that run to Twitter.
Yeah.
And I kind of always sit back and kind of chuckle and seeing some of the accounts that haven't been active for a minute. All of a sudden, people trying to log back in and trying to, get their business, popping on that platform. And it's just it's like you said, you got to have it all across the board. You got to be active on, because you never know when one is going to go down or something happens, a sale or anything of that nature. So, yeah, to your point.
And since we are the music business podcast, we will talk a little political today, but because we are the music business podcast, I do want people to really pay attention to just making sure that your music is going to be everywhere. Like, just do not. And I don't even want to put it in the vein of music like that. I want to say, make sure your content. Yeah, make sure your content, because musicians now have to realize that you're content creators. Like, if you haven't gotten that memo yet, I don't know what to tell you, but you're supposed to know at this point that you're a content creator, and you need to just make sure that you're getting all of your content across different platforms, because we do not know what's going to happen with this. Do you think it's going to pass the Senate?
Yeah.
Sure.
It's going to go all the way up. I think it's all right.
I didn't think it would pass the Senate. I think the Senate, there's a few senators right now that are, Rand Paul and a few others that saying that they're not going to vote for it because of the impact financially to Americans and what it'll do to the country. And then I know Trump said that he wouldn't vote for it, but they're going to try to get this thing passed before the election.
I also don't think some of these people in Congress are fully understand TikTok.
Absolutely, they are. No, remember the average age in Congress is like 70. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, this is not something they care about.
They're like, fuck that, man. Go back to work. Heck is this? Go back over there and play like you're supposed to.
Oh shit!
You know what I mean? Come on, look at the age. Like, you can look at it. They probably don't even know how to use a smartphone for the most case.
You like, take your ass back to work. Like that's like no more own your own destiny, right?
Nah, man, like, they don't matter.
Nah, they say no. You cannot be free. Not in America. Not anymore.
That's just crazy, man.
They said, nah, you got to go back to work. So they're like, fuck TikTok. You got to go back to work. So Mike D goes on record saying that it's gonna go all the way to the top, and Joe gonna sign that.
Joe gonna sign it.
Yo, man, I really hope they don't, man. Like, listen, folks don't like this. Like, it's already bad. Like, can you imagine if they sign this bitch into law and then all of a sudden now you gotta force a sale. China won't let you force a sale, and they say, hey, fuck it, it's only 10% of their revenue anyway. Ban it in America.
Yeah, I won't
Like
even.
that shit is wild.
I won't be. I won't be. I wouldn't even be surprised if at the same day that joint go down, some new social media platform just emerges out of the darkness. Like this is the new shit.
Listen, I feel that, but I feel like those voids are very hard to fill because they had another one that was similar to TikTok, and I forget the name of it. I know we were signed up on it, but I forget the name of it.
Snapchat.
It was the one. It was one that popped up when TikTok the first time the ban was. They was talking about the ban. A bunch of people went over to that other app, but it never caught. It never caught on, and it was basically essentially the same.
Mm.
It's on my phone. I can't remember the name of it on the top of my head. But anyway, I want to pivot a little bit. Kanye goes number one. Carnival. Number one record in the country. Number one record in the world. Basically, he's saying fuck you to the music industry. He went on Big Boy, had an interview, and he said, what's that fuck you about? He said, fuck everybody who thought he couldn't do it, who turned their back on him. He said the people made it number one.
I kind of feel like there's some people that's behind the scenes that want to see what happens. Like they're very curious from a theory point of view. Like just how does this work? Like this has never happened before.
It's uncharted territory right now.
Right. So I think there is a good amount of people that's kind of sitting back and like, let's allow this to happen and see where this goes and see how does it affect the record business, how does it affect the economy, how does it affect the whole infrastructure? Like, it's going to be interesting to watch to see what moves Kanye is going to make and how it's going to play out. And most important, are people going to follow suit? That is going to be interesting to see.
It's a funny thing, man, because it's like his influence is it's real great. I think people really discount his influence. And I'll tell you a joke. I'm gonna tell you a joke. We put my son into soccer. We needed to go buy some cleats, so we wound up going to like this sports store, Academy Sports, whatever, out here in Atlanta. Boom. We in the aisle trying to get the guys, my son some cleats, whatever. And there's some people that's walking through and they was looking at the Adidas, and they was like, nah, we're not buying that because of Kanye.
Your son heard?
Wow.
Your son
I heard it. I heard it. So this is a trickle down. Like this is a thing where it's not just people don't want to buy it because of Yeezy. It's like he has made something unpopular.
Yeah. I mean,
and I don't know if the establishment is going to allow a singular person, or if they're going to allow influencers to have this much power moving forward, because it can make and break brands. And I don't think that I don't like the way it looks. The way it looks like, okay, like
this shit is crazy because it's like, look, as a company, you hire these influencers for that reason. Like that's their job. That's the reason why you team up with an influencer or the freaking influence. And then you went against the grain. You went against the influencer. What do you think was going to happen? Like this shit don't make any sense. It's like when you have an influencer and if influencers on your team, take care of your influencer, especially if it's bringing in the bread, if it's making your product hot, it's doing what it needs to do. Like you can't do your influencer dirty.
But did he do himself dirty by the way that he was talking? That's the question. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really the question. It's like, look, it's incumbent on you to do good business, bro. We can't do the business and then complain about the things that we failed to put into the contract.
Because
You know?
he probably got a morality clause in there.
Yeah,
You can't
absolutely. Yeah,
and if you say something that goes against the company's belief system, their
yeah, they're gonna
moral
drop you.
value, they're gonna drop you. You know, but at the same time, and it's weird because there are companies that purposely do this. They know that you're a loose cannon. They just want the popularity. They just want to get what they can get. They want to rob you of your creativity. They want to do a deal with you just to see how you work, how you move, how do you make these type of clothing or these designs. They go in there literally to rob you, and then once they're done with you, they're looking for a way to get rid of you. So some of these deals, you know, may not necessarily have had the best intentions from the door. You just don't really know. So you got to be very careful of who you're partnering with, and really get to know who they are, and where their morals stand, because that business is a hell of a shark game, and they will befriend you, do the deal with you, act like everything is okay, learn your process, and then steal your process, and then cut the contract in half and say that we're good. And then they're going to go ahead and continue to still sell Yeezys. They're going to
Yeah,
go and still do this
yeah.
and do that. They're going to they're going to freeze your money. They, well, I'm not allegedly, cook the books. So if you try to do audits, it's not going to be the money that it's not going to be, stand up. You know what I'm saying? Everything is not going to be where it's supposed to be. You know, you really can't trust these big corporations all the way. You better have a good team, your contract in place. So you got to make sure that you do your audits. So independent, it's the way to go.
I,
Control it, own your stuff, know your consumers, less headache or more, depending on the way you see
Listen,
it.
he said it. If you watch any part of this Big Boy interview, and he really went into a lot of details in terms of how he has his structure set up. He was saying basically how he has his Shopify situation taken care of, and then he's paying attention to conversion rates. He says his conversion rates are anywhere between 5 and 6%, which is pretty high.
Yeah.
So based off of he's already doing his projection, is like based off of his follower count, even though he should be higher. And he made these comments that he should be easily able to sell 1 million copies at this record. All right, so it should be this at $20 a pop for the next Vultures Part 2 installment. So we're looking at a quick 20 million, probably same day. Like he's gonna probably do these numbers, like the 1 million sales, like super fast, and then I guess it's going to turn the industry upside down because people are going to see that he made that much money that quickly. And the artists that have the large followings, they're going to follow suit. Like it would make sense to them to follow suit. And he made something. He said something else too. He said, all these artists have lifetime deals. He's like, yeah, they'll give you the acknowledgement, they'll give you the lifetime deals, but it'll always put you in a situation where you'll be capped, that you'll never be able to really cross the billionaire status because of the way that the deals are structured. They're 10-year deals. Lifetime deals. So it's like you'll never really get to the situation where you can get to the money. So you can get the acknowledgement, but you won't be able to get to the money. And because he's been in that Kardashian world, and he's be able to see, like, because if you think about that household of the Kardashians, there are several billionaires in that household, and it's based off of the same model of using your celebrity to leverage it into selling products. And maintaining your Shopify or your e-commerce situation, and using your social media to leverage in your celebrity. So I want to see where's it's going to go with him, and if it's going to be a good working model. And um, this Vultures album to me is a decent album, but from what I heard, this Vultures 2 sounds better. So if the Vultures 2 is actually a better album, what does that mean for him in terms of sales for everything?
He's definitely the one to watch. And I think what he's doing now is he's creating a blueprint.
Yeah.
And if this is successful as we think it's going to be, the rules are going to change and others are going to follow, and the record companies are going to have to figure out what they're doing. I actually believe that the record companies are trying to change from the record company or the record business to the content business. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think it's record labels anymore. I think they're trying to be content labels. I think they're trying to remove this whole record thing because they realize that it's really content that's doing it, regardless of if it's music. It's more than just music.
Yeah.
So I think these companies are really starting to morph themselves into content labels, content creation business.
I think the but we've always said the industry is too late. But the question would have been, since the implementation of a 360 deal, right? We implement a 360 deal and we want to collect it from everything. Why didn't the record company create the infrastructure to basically perpetuate the 360? And when I say that, I mean, okay, I got an artist. I'm gonna be in charge. I'm gonna collect on every portion of his career. Like, why just let the artist just make music? Like, why do we leave it up to the artist to create the merch? And like all of those things um should have been aggregated by the labels as well. The label should have had the team that says, "Hey, we're gonna help you build your merch." The label should have had teams that should have said, "Hey, we're gonna set up your merchandise store, your e-commerce stores," because they had a hand in it, right? And
Time
this could
consuming.
have say
Time,
again.
time consumer as a motherfucker. Think about how many artists is on a label. Think about how many artists are on Universal.
I get that, but what the point I'm trying to make is that the question is, would it have been easier to sell those products with the music than to try to sell the music independently? You see what I'm saying? If we had created the infrastructure for e-commerce with the music from the beginning, would it have been easier to turn a profit? Because if you're looking at what Kanye West is doing, that what Ye is doing, like that's just the situation. Is that the reason why you're looking at these type of numbers is because the music is associated with product. Like
I'm wondering if they thought that it would be an easier sell to to sell music because it's so much cheaper. Sell the music and get them involved in the artists, and then have the artists go from there. I also feel that, you know, how much staff do you have that's going to create these things for all of the artists on the label? It is a tall order. It's a very tall order, and I think that's why they leave it to the artists to do. The labels are, it's the same thing as why there's no artist development. It's lazy on their part, and they just want the quick flip, and they're not willing to put in some of the work or hire the staff, the amount of staff necessary to carry that load. Because, like you said, you would think that, okay, if you had a merchandising department where they concentrate on that, it'd be hand over fist. You'd be, you would think that and put everyone in a 360 deal, and if for every uh, digital download, you're also purchasing a sweater, a hoodie, a shirt, you know. You would think so, but I don't think the infrastructure is set up like that, and they're stuck in the old way of doing things. And I think that has been the biggest problem with record companies. They've always been behind.
And now that I think about it, Mike, when I was saying product, remember the CD and the vinyl and the tape used to be the product.
Yeah.
Right. So now we used to get something. Right. So now that has been removed, we have to replace it with something else. And
Right.
I think that's what I think that's what Ye and these guys have figured it out. You know, and even for the guys that went to the spirit business, right? The guys that created liquor brands and stuff like that, now they use their music to leverage into liquors and so forth and so on. It's like now we take the music to sell product. Like that has been the model for forever right now. But for some reason, the labels just kept trying to sell music, and it's like music was basically the low, like you said, it was the cheapest medium, but it was the most expensive to promote because look how expensive it is to break a record.
Yeah. And
Like,
then
you know,
and then on the tail end, you don't get anything tangible. You know, if
right?
you don't have, if you don't have something physical tangible, then how could it be considered worth something? If you can't touch it, if you don't have it, how is it a collector's album? How do you feel, you know, if you don't own it, how do you feel that it's worth something? Like what is music? You know, you used to be like, you used to say, I have this. This has artwork. It has credits.
Yeah,
Some of them were a booklet.
yeah,
Some of them wasn't the whole experience when you listen to your music. Some of them had actual lyrics in it. Some had the thank yous, the names of the people involved. It was such a treat to have this thing here. Now you don't have it. There's no value. There's no value. It's just the music's in the air. It's digital. It's in the music. That's it. And you don't. And it's not like it's a limited supply anyway. It's
right.
endless.
It's endless.
There's nothing that ties the artist to it except just the music. There's nothing special about. Yes, you have the music, but there's nothing else with it. You know. So again, you know, and I've said this in the prior podcast. You know, there's no the value. You know, where's the value in music? And if the record companies were to focus on creating value with the music, you know, whether it's vinyl, CD, any type of merch, uh, I think this thing we'd be in a whole different ballgame. You know, I think people would actually respect music more and value it a whole lot more than what it is now.
I absolutely agree. And this is the experiment that we see right now with Kanye West, Ye. You know,
Yeah,
this is what we see, and we're seeing it in real time. We're seeing exactly what you said. The because the merch is Vulture's merch. The
right.
merch is directly aligned to the release of the album.
So,
So I'm not sure what the second installment is going to bring. Because now that would be dope now if he did another clothing drop
right,
with the second album and then the third collection
right.
for the fall, you know, when the third installment drops.
Yeah, and then do bundles.
It's gonna be crazy.
Get the 1, 2, and 3 shirt, all different colors.
It's gonna be crazy. And it's gonna be crazy. You see it.
Yeah, fire.
And he said he said he did that 19 million that first day after the Super Bowl. Then the second day was 15 million.
I might have to cop a vinyl or something just to support the process, man. Like honestly, like just to. And I'm here on the computer right now, just trying to get it. And I might just have to just purchase a piece of vinyl just to support the process.
Because when you think about it, it's history. You think about it, that's part of the situation. Like you're looking at a history of situation where this may never happen again. Remember, they're saying that he is the only hip hop artist to go #1 in 3 separate decades.
What is he? Yeezy.com?
Yeah, Yeezy.com.
Yeah, I might have to. I might have to.
On another note, it looks like he had a little bit of beef with the biggest streamer in the world, in Kai Cenat.
Uh,
Kai Cenat clothes came, his Yeezy clothes came. I don't know if it came directly from Ye or what may have you, but the clothes came through and he said they were the wrong size. And he kind of made a joke of it. And
it was funny as hell.
Ye didn't like it.
It was funny as hell though, because he put on the
Pants.
he put on the pants, and the pants was crazy big on him. I just think that it's just the wrong size, man. Like that's all it was.
And he's a young guy. He's streaming, man. They having fun online, man. Like
Yeah.
and they turn that into a moment of tension. Like you don't want to beef with the largest streamer in the world right now. You just don't. Like, and I don't want people have to realize that aggression to the young folks, it's not flying. They don't respond to it well. You saw it when he got the call from the manager.
Yeah, that was that back and forth was I think wasn't executed properly, and those type of calls, those feel like old school calls, old school way of doing business.
Old school
Like,
bully tactic.
Yeah,
Like I'm gonna bully you a little bit.
And the interesting part was when the manager threw some names around and say he belonged to this, but and it didn't mean anything to Casanat because he wasn't born in that era.
Yeah.
So look, to a lot of the OGs, old school, old heads, however you want to call it, and I'm not gonna lie, we old heads too.
Yeah.
But a lot of our peers got to realize that, listen, these kids are young, and a lot of the things that we hold on to as true and dear, they have no idea what it is. Some of the things that we were brought up under or with, some of the lessons, some of the respect that we had for certain individuals, and just the way of doing music and our belief system. These kids weren't around. These kids were not there. Like you got to understand, some of them weren't born until the 2000s.
Yeah.
Like they weren't there. They don't know who these famous executives. They don't know your story. They don't know what you did, and that's all cool and now. But what are you doing today? What are you doing now? How are you moving the culture? What's your influence now? So, with all due respect, I think, that conversation really showed the gap between old school and the current young artists or current content creators. It shows the gap, and we got to close that gap, man. And in order to close that gap, man, we got to really be aware of their situation. Like, what year were they born? So you got to take that into consideration. They wasn't here for that. You talking about, there's people who say, oh, Big and Pac. These kids weren't alive for Big and Pac.
Nope.
Come on, let's be for real.
Let's be for real. Yeah.
And then a lot of these, you yelling at them like, oh, you don't know nothing about this and that and the third. Yo, they weren't here. Come on, man. How you blaming them for that? They grew up on something totally different. If you want to take them on a window and school them on some things, that's cool. But the energy that be displayed with somebody to some of these youngsters ain't cool, man. It ain't in it. It ain't like your frustration, your anger is misdirected. They weren't here.
I don't even think they know how to navigate the OGs, bro. Like, I don't even think in that type of situation, it's like you can clearly see the disconnect.
It's both ways.
Yeah, in terms of what the younger, what Casanat was trying to, he's entertaining his base. That's what he does. And we take it as a disrespect because we're older and he's not supposed to do this and he's supposed to do that. And he's supposed to use his platform to advocate for this, that. He's not doing, they're not doing that. I don't think people realize that they don't care about some of this stuff. Like to your point, like they're too young. They don't care about a lot of this stuff that we may hold near and dear, and they don't even move or operate the way that we move and operate. And it's up to you to understand that. But I think again, is that we can sometimes get too siloed in what we're doing and say, oh, this is the way it should be, versus looking at what's happening. Like, this is what's happening with the young boy. If you see that the clothes didn't fit, somebody should reach out to him and say, hey, what size you got?
Yeah,
let me send you what you're supposed to get. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah, and that would have been the end of it.
Yep.
And then the following, he would come on, got the right size, he'd be in there showcasing it. That would have been the end of it.
Now you send him the right size, he ain't gonna wear it.
He might not. He might put it on to see if you got it right. If it's still too big.
Listen, you can't discount their power. I think that's the other thing. People be thinking like just because you with, the number one artist in the world, that's the number one streamer in the world. Right? You're in two different places. So you can't really think that you're gonna be able to, bully this guy. He like, you can't bully me. I'm such and such. Right. So like our worlds don't even really quote unquote align per se. Because you're doing what you're doing, I'm doing what I'm doing. And I got a certain amount of influence that can really impede your situation, because remember, you're the older guy that's, you on top right now, but you know how it goes. Everybody's looking for something new and fresh. So you have to really pay attention to dealing with the streaming the community, man. I see it happening too often. People are they're underestimating the power of the streamers and podcasters.
I think it's just a reflective of just today modern day society, period. Stepping outside, you got young kids and you got older folks, and they just don't know how to communicate. And it's just such a lack of respect also, and, the lack of respect could come from so many different areas, because it's a layered thing, and we could go into that, but it's a whole, thing. But there's definitely a lack of respect going both ways. And I think that you really got to know how to talk to the individuals. And a lot of people in the community do not know how to talk to each other. They do not know how to check their tone. They do not know how to use the correct words. And look, I admit, I'm not the best public speaker, but, I try and make sure that I'm using a certain tone if I'm talking to somebody that I just met. I try to make sure that I'm trying to use the right words, because certain words can be deemed as offensive, So you got to be careful with the words you use, the tone you're using, even the way you stand, even the way you look and move, and your hand gestures. These things could be considered offensive if you're not doing it right. And you got to be mindful. And so many people, unfortunately, are dead or in prison because they made an assumption. They thought a person meant this, or I meant to say this. I didn't mean to do that. That's not what I intended to do here. But your body, the way you moved, what you said, gave that energy off. And I think, people just got to realize that, listen, yeah, we come from two different places or whatever, or we're two different age, or we're this and that. But we should be able to talk and understand each other and find a middle ground and respect each other's, journey or whatever it is. It doesn't need to just freaking fly off the rails. Like, the man put on some pants that was too big and it just went freaking far off the rails. Like, that's...
It went way off the rails.
Yeah, like it wasn't that serious.
It wasn't that serious. You know, and
He,
I and
he
I
literally got
and
like I watched it. We watched it together, and I'm just like, and I'm laughing too because I'm like, yo, look how big the fans is, and that's no disrespect to Kanye or the clothes or the material or anything like that or his
it's just
work.
the
That's
wrong size.
just the wrong size. That's it.
That's it.
You know, that's all it is. And I get it. Kanye is definitely like
He's fighting for his life now.
yeah,
Let's look at it
yeah,
on a different scale because
yeah,
like he's
yeah.
fighting for his life. So everything for him is ultra serious at this point
Yeah,
because they
ultra
tried to
serious.
take everything from him. Right?
Right. So he's
So
definitely
he don't want no jokes
yeah.
with
I
none of
get
his
it.
shit. You know,
Yeah.
because life or death for him. He's looking at it like that for him. He's like, listen, they trying to take everything from me, rob me and my kids, rape, you know. He's
Right.
saying, hey, they trying to Weinstein me in front of everybody. Nobody want to say nothing. Nobody want to do nothing. Like, this is a situation. So he's taking it very, very seriously because he's like, listen, you can't play with my clothes. I can't have it looking funny. None of that. Like, I need my product need to be,
Then
you
then
know,
then
held in
then his,
reverence.
then his team need to get it right down to the packaging.
Yeah.
That packaging wasn't even right.
But I don't think it came from him directly.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't think that because they
Yeah.
don't look like they have a relationship.
Right.
So I don't think that it came from him directly.
It didn't
So
look like it.
you can't hold him
They
hostage
came.
for that.
It came in a bag. You ripped it open. Like
So that's a whole nother conversation. If we talking about, hey, like honestly, why didn't he get a package directly from Ye? Like all of the mainstreamers should have gotten a direct package from Ye in terms of vultures. You know, but again, guys don't want to. What you don't want to do either. You don't want to put your product in the hands of opinion and tastemakers, right? You don't want to do that. You don't want these folks to sway public opinion. Like, so I think it's strategic in not giving them the stuff directly because you don't want to deal with that. What if he didn't like it? You know what I'm saying? Like that can sway public opinion. So that's another reason why I think they're trying to stay away from that and going direct to consumer. Like we don't want anybody
or
in between the channel.
or this was sabotage.
Oh, you think your boy sent it?
Or somebody sent him that extra large, did all of that on purpose.
Mm.
Come on, like you could look at his videos and know that he's not that size.
Yeah.
So that's another aspect. So somebody did that.
You it's funny when you say that, but you don't think that it's that sinister, that deep, but in the world of for things that's happening with Ye right now, you got to kind of question everything. Everything right now at this point is kind of, you have to say, okay, is it contrived? I don't know what just happened, but
Mhm.
and listen, you know how it go with this situation.
See, as soon as I mentioned that is the sabotage. The powers that be.
Powers that be, press the buttons. Hey, don't say that. Ooh, let me take him out of it real quick.
Yeah.
But listen, I really hope that I think they're gonna get it together. I really want to see that. I want to see that community aligned.
Yeah.
Because it's a new day, man, and I really applaud what homie getting the number one. He said something also, and before we get out of here, he said something that he had some other records because the Carnival record goes number one worldwide, independent. He's like, wow. And I guess he's looking at what it took to go number one as an independent artist and the resources. And he said, damn, I got to number one probably with less than when I was signed. Right. So he was saying to himself, like, okay, so after the Taylor Swift incident for the MTV Awards, he was saying, I'm wondering if the label turned down his volume. And he was saying turned down his volume, meaning made sure that his records didn't go as far as they could have gone. Because he said, listen, all the lights didn't go number one. He said, "Nigga, the Paris didn't go number one." He said, "All these songs didn't go number one." And like, why didn't they go number one? These are big, big records. And he said it just didn't make sense to him. But he said now when he thinks about it in retrospect, it seemed like it was a concerted effort to keep him out of the number one spot because of the power that it would give him. And I'm like,
Sabotage.
sabotage. And I'm like, wow. When I saw that, I said, okay. I said, this is a new game. But not for nothing. Shout out to Chad Focus. He said that too. He said there's the button that they press.
Eat you up and then pull you off.
There's the button that they press. So the button that we press to get the algorithm on your side, and then there's the button that we press to take the algorithm off your ass. And we're seeing that with a lot of artists now who are struggling to get these numbers up. And I'm like, okay, what happened? Did everybody just fell off? No, the button is not being pressed anymore. The button is no longer in service.
Do we have Meek Mill second week?
I couldn't imagine what that number looks like if the first week was so low. Like that second week, I don't even know what the second week would look like. There's no buzz around this album. Unfortunately, there's just no buzz around this album. And have you listened to it yet?
Yeah, I've heard it.
Yeah. What's your take?
Like I said before, you were musically, it just sounds like, Little Baby, sounds like, Dirk, like those records. And those records don't, it doesn't, you see, when Kanye does it, it sounds different, meaning that it sounds like it's his music, like, and they're invited to his party, you know. But for me, it just sounds like he's just going over there on that side, you know. So, and I think also because Kanye does the production as well, so I think he's able to, create a landscape to that reflects himself, and he gets who he needs to get on to kind of help him, get some other things going. But it's a straight difference, and it goes to what we're saying about when you make records and just being true to yourself. And there's a very fine line of getting with another artist and you don't want to sound all the way like them. You want to be relevant, yes, but you got to be very careful of abandoning who you are and abandoning your fan base and kind of jumping on to somebody else's fan base or trying to emulate or quote unquote stay relevant by making records that sound like it's in another artist's vein, you know.
I wonder, and I want artists to pay attention to this, is be intentional of where your music is going to be consumed. I think the reason why we see Carnival and Kanye as number one is because he has decided very intentionally to make stadium music.
Yeah, that's going to be in all the arenas.
Yeah, it's stadium music. It's large arena music.
Getting warm, all the sporting events is going to be popping.
It's that energy that matches the live experience of the music. The music is meant to be consumed in those type of environments. So when I listen to, Meek's album, not to really compare it, but it doesn't have a place for me. It doesn't. It's a good driving music. It's a club music. It just seems like it's just, let me just put a bunch of songs together and let me get the engineer to EQ my auto tune to sound like Little Baby and Little Dirk had a baby, and it's just like it just doesn't come across the way it needs to come across. But I guess that goes back to what you're saying also, is that Kanye as a producer can create a sonic landscape that blends and is intentional about where it's going to be consumed. Even if it's his daughter on the record, he knows where that's going to be able to be consumed. And he's created something sonically that he knows is going to be able to be played in certain, environments.
we got to get back to producing, man. Like
It's real.
producers got to really get back. We're in this era now where it's beat packs and trading this and sending that, and that's cool and all because there's some great material that's out there. But for
Yeah.
producers who even dabble in that arena, we gotta really get back into production and just really being creative with the sounds and the drum patterns and really bringing our soul and spirit to these records, and demanding that these artists are doing the same when they get on these records. And I know that's difficult because a lot of these records, beats just kind of go out, and producers are not always in the same room
Yeah.
when the artists. But man, we really need to, as a culture as a whole, we need to really get back to getting in the lab, um, fine tuning, saying no, that don't work. Let's do this. Let's try this. Really trying to be creative and push the envelope on trying to create something that's going to be around for a long period of time, and not these simple music that's just here today, gone tomorrow kind of thing, you know.
While we're on the subject of production, final
Mhm.
thing before we get out of here. Last week we talked about uh independent artists not wanting to give producers 50-50 on the record. And then you also made a comment about the engineers being entitled to certain percentages, publishing, or even production credits on these albums. And it sent the internet into a frenzy, right? So everybody was going crazy about, oh, I wish an engineer would, blah, blah, blah. And then people started to make this very, very succinct point.
And even some other content people started picking up some of the talk and putting it on there.
They made a very, very succinct argument, which was the engineers are the ones that are in the studio with the artists, and most times the producers are not. The producers are sending these things via email, and the producers are no longer present in the sessions. So it's really the engineers that are there from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, when we look at it, and we've said this, that good engineers are the superheroes.
Yeah.
But behind your best records, if you don't have a good engineer, this record doesn't come to life. And I guess that conversation has to start being held about true compensation, not just that hourly rate, but
Yeah.
what does that really look like for having a part of the IP, the intellectual property?
Well, I think engineers need to have better relationships with producers.
I agree with that.
I think if they're the ones that's going to be in there recording and yay or nay, like this is hot, this is not hot, almost being like A&Rs almost, because they're doing it all. I think that they should form a relationship with those producers and work out an arrangement with them. And like, yo, we're going to do this. We're going to make it sound like this, and take almost instructions back and forth, like a give and take. Producers could say, hey, this is what I would like, this is what I want. Or engineer come back and say, hey, we could do this technically. That's not going to work. He's in here doing it like this,
Right.
and kind of give and take, and let them work out their own business dealings. Whatever it is, if it's going to be a piece of publishing or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I think the engineers definitely like over the years and the way things are going now, they have definitely showed and proven that they are really hands-on on a production level. But let's be clear, that's not every engineer though.
That's not every engineer.
That's not
That's
every
just your
engineer.
special ones. You got ones that are special.
Yeah, so this is not something that should be just given off of the back to the engineers who just recording and that's it. I'm talking about these engineers who really go in, who's really like, oh, let's do this, or let's flip this, or let's make it sound like this, and putting their own creativity into recording.
Yeah.
there probably needs to almost be a different term. The same way you got beat makers and producers, you have your engineering, maybe you have your engineer producers or your real co-producers, you know. But yeah, I think that this is a conversation that needs to be had. Definitely.
Definitely. I see more people talking about it. It's definitely a conversation. But again, it comes back to wanting to be inclusive and add people to the pie. I think too often what's happening with, especially with now with the independent artists, is that now they, because they feel like they have to spend the money to promote it, but they're not really looking at it like, hey, you're going to have more streams of income than any of us going to be able to have. So,
Absolutely.
so yeah, you're gonna pay a little bit more than everyone else, is
Yeah.
because you're going to get more of the income stream, not just the publishing,
We're,
not just the
we're not going
radio
to get
play.
the show money. We're not going to
We're
get the
not
show.
we're not going to get your merch. We're not going to get all of the
Yeah.
things that help to perpetuate the other product sales or the influencer situation. That's all perpetuated by the music that we don't share in that revenue. So
I, yeah, I made a comment back because in the last post, there was some, that exact conversation. People were saying, no, well, why do I have to do this? Or why do I have to pay the producer? Or why do I have to do this and give them splits and this, not the third, if they're incurring all the costs from marketing to promotion to ads to all of these things that they're doing. And I had to tell one of them that, hey, listen, when you get a show and you're commanding anywhere between $1,500 all the way to 80 grand, 100 grand, that's all you.
yep.
Like, I remember when we were in Atlanta, we were running around with certain artists, and they'll do their shows at 40 grand to 80 grand a pop,
Yep.
show to show, for an
Yep.
entire week. You were getting 40 to 80 grand a show, and some of these guys were booked out all week. Whether it's a small venue, large venue, whatever, you were getting money damn near every day. That's all you. When the artist wants you as a feature and you charge them maybe 5 grand, 10 grand, whatever, some people are charging 50 grand, depending how big you are. That's all you. You keep that. When you're doing, when you're in a movie and they give you a bulk sum of money up front, that's all you. Like when you're doing book deals and you're doing merchandising, all that money, that's all you. Like the producer does not share in any of those in any of that income.
And it's almost as if they forgot that it's the music that created the foundation for you to get all of those things.
How is a producer supposed to even eat? Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it's
guys are
very,
forgetting.
yeah. It's a really, really, what they said the oppressors become the oppressed.
It's crazy.
The oppressed become the oppressors, excuse me.
But
So,
it, but it goes to show, like, not only of a lack of understanding and ignorance, but it's just that you have no idea of what, not just what the business is, but you don't understand what the producer also has to go through at all. Like there is such a lack of respect for what producers do, but the producers are bringing like everything.
yeah,
Like there would be no music business
without the producer.
without the producer, without the music. And I can't stress this enough. Like there would be no clubs, there would be no radio, there would be no music streaming. There would be no music or score music in movies, video games if it wasn't for producers. It would be just a bunch of acapellas.
Spoken word,
Like let's spoken
poems.
word at the show, spoken word. We're gonna rock side to side off of your spoken word. If every producer was to go on strike and there was no more music given out, what would happen? All the clubs would just shut down unless you're doing some sort of spoken word.
It's a very
Dance crazes would be gone.
It's a very, very interesting dynamic. And I think it just boils down to, like you said, one, lack of respect, and two, it's really a self-centeredness of artists, right? Like a real inability to show reciprocity. And honestly, these are the artists that I would tell producers to stay away from.
Yeah.
Quite frankly. Yeah. If they can't understand that we are in a partnership, that we're doing something and we're doing it together, and there's a give and a take here. I'm giving you something, you're giving me something, and we're trying to do something together. And we're trying to make something together and build something together that can create revenue in perpetuity. Like if they don't understand that, if they don't have the respect, like, hey, let him get what he's supposed to get, and let if they don't understand that, then these are not the people that you should be in business with. That's my honest to God.
I think when they say 50-50, I think when we say partnership, I think what happens is the artist gets confused with partnership and think partnership as the entire
entire thing. We're in partnership for that song.
We're in partnership for the song. Our job is to make sure we deliver the song, and we make a great record, Now, once we create a great record, technically the producer's job is done.
Yeah.
Now you have to find another partner to do the other part. You got to find a marketing partner, and you do that. Promotional partner to do that. And I think they get confused when you say partner, because they think in partner in the whole thing when it's just a partner for just the music. And I think that's key, that they understand that you got to find partners for every aspect of your album rollouts.
Your career.
Yeah. For the whole thing, you need a partner for each department, for each division. And you cannot put it on the producer to do all the other things. Now, there are producers that are skilled and have an A&R hat and an engineering hat and things of that nature, and they have experience in other areas. And, those are, they're there, here and there. And if you stumble across a person who's like that, then you lucked out. And you may be able to create some sort of situation where they can help you in the other areas. But for the most part, the producer's job is to produce, make the record. And that's it. And he's entitled to everything he's supposed to get for that record. That's it.
We want to end it on that note, folks. This is Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast. Make sure that you're following us at www.arkatechbeatz.com. Make sure that you follow us on all social media. Let's pay attention to this TikTok ban. Kanye West. Let's continue to support Kanye West, independent music, what that's going to do for us. Hey, man, respect the producers, man. Stop playing this game. Producers and the engineers, man. Stop playing this game with us, man. But until next time, folks.
Peace.
Everybody be safe out there.